Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today is Tuesday, a really beautiful day outside, but inside the world of Port Charles, things are getting completely and utterly insane. We have so much to cover today, so grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's just dive right into the deep end of this massive General Hospital bombshell because my head is still spinning. So let's just get right into it. Jason Morgan is in a secret WSB facility. And honestly, we all knew he was going to end up somewhere dark and terrible because, well, he's Jason. He just can't help himself. He always has to be the martyr. Always. We saw him take the fall for Rocco Falconeri, which, okay, I get it. Rocco is just a kid, and he shot Ross Cullum. And Jason, being Jason, decided he had to protect Dante and Lulu's boy. Because of course he did. He's the ultimate protector. But did he really have to let the WSB drag him away to some undisclosed black site? I mean, the guy is already dealing with so much, and now he's locked up in what looks like a dungeon from a spy movie. And I'm just sitting here watching this thinking, what were the writers thinking? Putting Jason back in a cage. But then the cell door opens, and you guys, I actually screamed at my screen. I am not even kidding. I dropped my pen and just stared. Because sitting there in the dark, chained to the wall like some kind of forgotten prisoner of war, is Morgan Corinthos. Yes, Morgan. Sonny and Carly's son, the son who supposedly blew up in a car bomb back in 2016. I need to take a breath because this is just, it's a lot. Morgan is alive. He didn't die in that explosion. And the WSB has had him this entire time. Let's just process that for a second. The WSB, the supposedly legitimate international intelligence agency, literally kidnapped a young man after a fiery car crash and just locked him in a basement for years. Why? As a trump card, as the ultimate leverage against Sonny Corinthos. And honestly, my brain is just going in a million directions right now. Because on one hand, I am so thrilled Morgan is back. I always hated how his story ended. It felt so unresolved, so tragic, and Carly's grief was just unbearable to watch back then. But on the other hand, what the actual hell, WSB, who actually believes this is going to end well for the agency? You don't just hold the Corinthos hostage for years and expect to get away with it. Sonny's going to burn the world down when he finds out. But let's talk about the scene in the cell, because it was just incredible. The shock on Jason's face. Jason is usually a stone-cold wall of ice, right? He never shows emotion. But when he saw Morgan, you could see the absolute disbelief cracking through his stoic exterior. And Morgan, wow. He doesn't look like the impulsive, reckless kid we remember. He looks hardened. He looks like a guy who has spent years staring at a concrete wall, surviving on pure spite and anger. The chains on him were heavy. It was a really grim visual. It actually made me feel a little sick to my stomach thinking about what he's been through. So the two of them get over the initial shock fairly quickly. Because they have to. This isn't a family reunion at the Metro Court. They are in a high security black site. And Morgan immediately drops a massive piece of information. He hasn't just been sitting there crying for the past few years. He's been watching, he's been listening. Morgan tells Jason that he has spent months secretly memorizing the guard schedules, the shift changes, the blind spots in the security cameras. He's been planning an escape, and I just love this for Morgan. I love that they are making him smart and tactical. In the past, Morgan was always the emotional one, the one who acted before he thought, dealing with his bipolar disorder and making a mess of things. But this Morgan is focused. He's sharp. He's been plotting. But here's the problem, and it's a big one. Morgan has the intel, but he needs Jason's skills to actually execute the breakout. He needs the enforcer. He needs the guy who can take down 2 armed guards in 3 seconds flat. But Jason is injured. We all know Jason is still dealing with the physical fallout from the whole Pier situation and taking the fall for Cullum. He is moving slow. He's visibly in pain. And you can see the realization hit both of them. Jason is compromised. So they are sitting there whispering in the dark, trying to figure out how a chained up prisoner and a physically injured hitman are going to break out of a maximum security WSB fortress. And they are on a ticking clock. Morgan reveals that they are going to be transferred to solitary confinement soon. If they get moved, it's over. They will never see each other again, and they will probably never see daylight again. I'm honestly so stressed out just thinking about it. How are they going to do this? Jason can barely walk without wincing, and Morgan is literally shackled. But it's Jason Morgan. If anyone can figure out how to turn a metal spoon and a shoelace into a deadly weapon, it's him. But still, The odds are just ridiculously stacked against them. I mean, the writers have really painted them into a corner here. And let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. Let's talk about what is happening back in Port Charles right now, while Jason and Morgan are rotting in this cell, because the irony is just too much to handle. Carly. Let's talk about Carly. Carly is currently sleeping with Jack Brennan. Jack Brennan, the WSB guy. She is literally in bed with the agency that has been torturing her supposedly dead son for years. I can't even. I can't. When Carly finds out about this, she is going to lose her absolute mind. She is going to destroy Brennan. Right now, she thinks she's playing this smart, calculating game, keeping Brennan close to keep tabs on Jason's situation, all while hiding Valentin in her attic. But she has no idea that the WSB's sins are so much deeper and more personal than she could ever imagine. The fallout from this is going to be nuclear. Brennan won't even know what hit him. And then there's Sonny. Sonny is currently dealing with Jen Sidwell, who is completely out of control. Sidwell is blaming Sonny for Jordan's car crash. He's blaming him for Marco's death. Justine is warning Sonny that he's in extreme danger. Sonny is stretched thin. He's fighting a war on multiple fronts. And on top of that, Danny Morgan is running around trying to join the mob because he misses Jason and wants to take the law into his own hands. Danny is a loose cannon right now. Can you imagine what happens if Jason and Morgan actually manage to escape and make it back to Port Charles? It would change the entire landscape of the show. Think about Danny seeing Morgan. Danny's acting out, trying to be a tough guy, trying to fill the void Jason left. And then Morgan, the ultimate cautionary tale of what happens when a Corinthos kid gets too deep into the mob life, shows up. That dynamic alone is worth a whole year of storylines. And Sonny. If Sonny finds out the WSB kept his son in a cage, I don't think there's a force on earth that will stop him from going to war with the entire United States government. Ethan Lovett is coming back to town soon, right? We know Ethan holds a grudge against Sidwell and the WSB stuff. Maybe Ethan teams up with Sonny. Maybe they all team up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that. Let's pull it back to the cell. They have to get out first. And it's not going to be easy. I keep thinking about Jason's injury. Is he going to push himself too far? Is he going to sacrifice himself to get Morgan out? Because that is exactly the kind of stupid, heroic thing Jason would do. You go tell your parents, I'm sorry, leave me behind. I can already hear him saying it, and if he does that, I am going to throw my remote at the television. I swear to God. We need both of them back in Port Charles. We need the reunion. Maybe I'm being too dramatic. Okay, that's not a dramatic, but you get what I mean. We have waited years for a Morgan return. Fans on social media have been begging for this for a decade. Every time a mysterious character showed up, people were like, is it Morgan? And now it actually is him. It's really him. But the messy part of me is wondering about the timeline. If the WSB had him this whole time, why didn't they use him when Sonny was missing in Nixon Falls? Why didn't they use him when Carly was vulnerable? It feels a little clunky. Like a retcon that they just decided to shove into the current story to make the WSB look like ultimate villains. But you know what? I don't even care. I don't care if it's a retcon. I am just so happy to have this storyline because the emotional stakes are so incredibly high. So the plan. Morgan knows the guards rotate every 4 hours. He knows there is a 3-minute window where the cameras sweep away from their cell block. 3 minutes. That's all they have. 3 minutes for Jason to somehow pick the locks on Morgan's chains, overpower whatever guard is walking the corridor, and limp his way to an exit in a facility he has never seen before. It's a suicide mission. Let's be real. It's a complete suicide mission. And Jason knows it. You could see it in his eyes. He's calculating the odds, and the odds are terrible. But he's looking at his nephew. He's looking at Sonny's boy, who has been locked in the dark for years. And Jason's loyalty to Sonny is the strongest force in his universe. He will literally die trying to get Morgan out of that room. I just hope the writers don't drag this out for 6 months. You know how they do. They put 2 characters in a room, and they just talk for weeks and weeks while the rest of the town goes to the Metro Court pool. Please, GH writers, do not do that to us. Give us the action. Give us the escape. I'm also really curious about how Morgan is going to react to the current state of his family. His mom is sleeping with a WSB agent. His dad is engaged in a blood feud with Sidwell. His brother Michael is dating Jacinda and running Deception and Crimson drama. Christina is dealing with her own past trauma. Morgan has missed so much. He's basically a ghost stepping back into a world that has moved on without him. The psychological trauma he's going to have to unpack is going to be massive. He's not going to just walk back into the Quartermain mansion and eat pizza. He's a damaged, traumatized man who has been held as a political prisoner. And honestly, I am here for it. I am so here for it. This is exactly the kind of dark, gritty, emotional storytelling that made me fall in love with General Hospital in the first place. The stakes are life and death. The family dynamics are deeply complicated. The villains are institutional and terrifying. So we are just gonna have to wait and see what happens next week. Will Jason's injury be their downfall? Will Morgan's intel be enough to get them past the guards? Will they get caught and thrown into solitary? I am going to be glued to my screen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Jason and Morgan are going to make it out? Do you think Carly is going to murder Brennan when she finds out? I feel like I need to go lie down and process all of this. It's just too much. Until next time, stay safe out there and keep watching the madness unfold.